Welcome to Tech Wars, the program that brings together industry experts to evaluate the merits of the latest technology. I am your host of today, Maxa Marripa. In today's episode, we're turning our attention to the intriguing showdown between ChatGPT and Bard, two of the most prominent figures in the role of AI-driven natural language processing. Today, I will give you a detailed examination of these language models, systematically reviewing their capabilities, strengths, and weaknesses. The goal is to find which of these sophisticated AI platforms is the best on four tests: functionality, usability, reliability, and innovation. As I said, my name is Maxa Marripa. I'm a lead software engineer here in Advancio. My stack is .NET and Angular development, and I have been playing around with AI since 2020, so I'm really familiar with the topic with both large language model and other more specific AIs. Today, we're going to compare ChatGPT and Bard. At their core, they are large language models, which in simple terms aren't that different from the work of prediction on your phone keyboard. They are trained with huge amounts of data gathered and curated from the internet. These AIs are then trained by humans to make sure their responses align to the expectation. Each generation of an AI LLM is called a model, and these models can interact with other systems such as railroads that limit the kind of topics they're allowed to discuss, and other kind of responses the kind of responses they're going to provide. One curious thing about the LLMs is that after they are released, they don't learn any more data. They can use information that's given to them as context to answer questions better, such as previous conversations or other resources. But the model once released doesn't really change. So, for example, some services that provide a specific model to solve code-related problems that interact with the base LLMs into delivering a single comprehensive response to the user. Here we're going to review these contenders as services, not only limited to the LLM capabilities, but to how they integrate with other functionality, like generating images, solving code-related questions, and working with files. OpenAI developed ChatGPT, which is an AI LLM that has taken the world by storm. Its 3.5 model is free for public usage, and a paid version of the service allows the users to use the model for and has plugins that enhance the experience. It also has settings to tailor your interactions with AI to know your preference, which can also include the fields of expertise and how you would like to receive responses. We also have Bing, which is an integration of ChatGPT 4 that uses the search engine of the same name to enhance its responses. It's available for free use using the Edge web browser. So on paper, Bing is a great option if you want to test the Model 4 capabilities without extra charge. Bing also offers some functionalities with Edge, the web browser that hosts it. So you can change some settings using it. It's really trivial. It's a really trivial integration in my opinion, but it's the basis of the approach that Microsoft is going to be pushing to integrate AI as a copilot for Windows 11. And we have the contender, which is Bard, which is Google's response to ChatGPT. It's currently on experiment phase and could become a paid service soon, but currently is for free use. And it's pretty similar to ChatGPT on a first glance, but has key features that are worth reviewing. Bard also comes with a pre-built draft system, so each time it responds to you, it's basically the best answer of a group of 3. You can also look at them and review them in comparison. And it also has a double check response button, which confirms the response using Google search engine. Like ChatGPT plugins, it has built-in extensions that integrate with Google's library of apps like Calendar, Gmail, YouTube, Map, which on paper can be useful to ask comprehensive answers that can include information from your Google account. The extensions are a new feature and are fewer than ChatGPT plugins, but that could change in the future. So let's start evaluating. First of all, functionality. In this realm, I tested some specific functionalities that they can offer to try to do a comprehensive review of everything. The first of these is technical conversation. ChatGPT can carry conversations in technical subjects in a comprehensive way, and when requested to abstract concepts for simplicity, it tends to be oversimplistic compared to other alternatives. By paying for Model 4, the responses get better, and you can use the Enable plugins. So the response is enhanced with additional knowledge available on the web, but it's a paid service and some plugins are more reliable than others. Bing, which already comes with web browser capabilities, out of the box gives benefits of ChatGPT paid version, and it's free, but its responses can feel slower compared to ChatGPT, and usually it prefers to search on the web instead of responding with the model clean response, which can create frustrating conversations on which you can ask for a particular detail, and it starts with a summary of the topic in question and then answer the question. In follow-up questions, it can repeat itself explaining the topic again before answering. Bard is more detailed in technical conversation, with formatting that resembles quoting sources, and by the end attaches the sources for data that is being used to respond, making it easier to learn more. And you can configure the settings of the responses to make it easier to understand without the need of prompting the AI again with a message. I'm going to give ChatGPT 1 point because it doesn't have sourcing, the model 4 is paid, it doesn't have internet browsing in the free version. I'm going to give Bing, which is basically a subset for ChatGPT, 2 points because it has sourcing. The Model 4 is free on there. It's a little bit slow though, and it has preference for searching instead of answering. And to BART, I'm going to give it 3 points for sourcing the responses, having not cost at all, and it's really fast compared to the alternative in Bing. Now, working with files. ChatGPT in its paid form can work with files like pictures, but has a hard time interpreting some of them. And it's capable of making simple additions like picture color swapping. For other kind of files, it can't work with PDFs or other Word files out of the box. You can use plugins to process them, but its functionality is spotty. Some plugins are really reliable and some others can fail randomly or not respond at all. Bing can interpret pictures correctly with more success than ChatGPT, but can't do much else. It can't process other type of files. BART is the best at interpreting pictures, but can't do much else with them. With the newest update, it can process PDF files and other Word files for the Google App Library, stored in your Drive folder. But you need to provide the details about the file in question. It isn't a straightforward way to upload files for it to process yet. It can successfully read PDFs and analyze its data, with some limitation regarding the page layout, and it can successfully process data from sheets, docs, and other files from their library of work apps. I'm going to give 2 points to ChatGPT because it can, in the paid version, it can offer working with multiple files and has a bunch of flexibility in that regard. 1 point to Bing because it only can process image pictures, but can do much else. 2 points to BART because it can work with files, but it's only the files stored in your Drive folder, and there isn't really an easy way to upload files for it to process. Next topic, generating images. This is a specific feature that it's been introduced to LLMs, which isn't functionality from LLMs themselves, but it's a feature integrated to them. ChatGPT in the free model is not capable of generating images. In the paid version, there are plugins that have image generation capabilities available. Bing specifically can generate images using DALL-E 3, which is a popular AI image generation tool. BART, on the other hand, can generate images. It can browse and respond with images from some sources, but it can generate images, yes. Something really goofy about this is that if you ask BART directly, it will say that it can generate images. But when prompted, it will respond with gibberish describing an image or other unrelated responses. Put it on the corner and it's going to admit that it doesn't have image generation capabilities yet. In this regard, I'm going to bring 1 point to ChatGPT. It can only generate images using the paid version and plugins. Bing, 3 points. It can generate images using DALL-E 3 for free, and 0 points to BART since it doesn't have any image generation capabilities. Next one is really relevant for me, specifically for me and other developers, is the code generation and debugging. ChatGPT can analyze code, detecting error and suggesting solutions, and also can generate code. But it's sensitive to the prompts given to it. It can go from not detecting obvious issues or to over-analyzing or over-engineering solution. It can also really benefit from direction like prompting design patterns, specifically limitations to its solutions. It's going to provide with closer responses than what you actually need. Bing can give simpler and straightforward answers when it wants to. This is something that I find annoying, but in my experience working with it has been complicated. It can respond correctly and give helpful answers, but it's also it can decide to not answer in the middle of writing a response with the argument that it doesn't have capabilities of producing code. On the other hand, the nature of the window that hosts the service can make it really hard to work with code. BART can generate code, but its quality is lower than ChatGPT for the time being. For simpler requests, it can generate code, but it can also do some out code and has a harder time debugging issues on the code you provided. I'm going to give 3 points to ChatGPT, the best code generated so far by the time being. It can provide good debugging, but it needs to be prompted correctly. If not, it will generate code as best suited or the best option that it thinks, but it could be different from what you actually need to do, or it could violate some of the rules or standards that you're using. I'm going to give Bing 1 point because it can produce good code, but only when it wants to, basically. And I'm going to give BART also 1 point because it can produce decent code, but it's not really good at debugging the code. Usability. All of the services that we are going to review are basically designed to feel like a chat with an AI. So all of them, interactions start with the user sending messages, also refer offer as prompts to the AI, and it formulates a response. ChatGPT and BART have the dedicated websites on which you can interact with them. Bing is exclusive to the Edge web browser, and some browser extension there are some browser extensions that can allow you to interact with the system in other ways, but those are outside of the scope of today's discussion. On the more technical side, ChatGPT has an API that can be consumed in custom code for a fee for usage. BART is currently testing their own API that is the same concept basically. So you can build apps to prompt either of them to get responses directly into your code and process them in whatever way you like. Please note that either of the services suggests that you should build enterprise application with them alone, since the responses aren't consistent by the nature of LLMs. So even if an LLM can do something, there are probably better alternatives in the AI space for dedicated functionalities, like image processing, text processing. The biggest benefit of LLMs in that regard is the versatility and the way it can generate text that it feels unique and that makes sense to us. In the future, we might have models that are more reliable. For the time being, it's not advisable to use them for enterprise applications yet. I'm going to give 2 points to ChatGPT in this regard. You need to use their official page and create an account, which is expected. I'm going to give 1 point to Bing, because even though it's free, you need to use the web Edge browser to basically use it. And I'm going to give BART 1 point. It's still an experiment phase, so the availability can be limited. When it was originally launched, it was only available for certain regions and had limited capabilities on which languages it could speak to, but it's been improving over time. Reliability. Let's get the elephant out of the room. The biggest issue with LLMs are hallucinations, which are basically lies that they can tell based on their model data or the way they were trained. All of them have inherent biases from the data that was fed to them and how they were trained. And also, it's really rare that by default they will say that they don't know the answer for something. They're going to say they know and they're going to respond to your questions. But that could differ from the actual facts. Bing and BART combat this by using their associated search engines to leverage them to be more reliable on the responses. But the vanilla ChatGPT is obscuring the way it sources its data. So the technology at its core has some reliability issues. The service providers are actively trying to mitigate them. The free version of ChatGPT can have downtimes due to heavy traffic, and I haven't been personally affected by this, but your mileage might vary. The paid version is more stable in that regard, but the issue specific with the paid version is in the plugins, which are nice additions, but can suffer from glitches, downtime, or other related issues. Bing can also suffer from downtime due to heavy traffic. I have been affected by this in the past, and it can also directly not respond to your questions sometimes, even if the topics aren't sensitive, which can be frustrating. Based on my experience, the railroading that is an extra security measure created by Microsoft that doesn't happen with that frequency in ChatGPT. BART hasn't had issues in the high demand as far as I know, since its role has been slower than ChatGPT and is less popular. It's a bit more reliable in its availability. I haven't encountered issues railroading as in Bing, and the extensions are more reliable than ChatGPT plugins, but there are fewer and developed in-house by Google. In this topic, I'm going to give ChatGPT 2 points. It can suffer downtimes due to heavy traffic. It hasn't been a deal breaker. I'm going to give Bing 1 point. It can suffer from downtimes and it can randomly won't answer your questions. And I'm going to give BART 3 points because overall it currently is the best in reliability. Innovation-wise, ChatGPT was the AI that surprised everyone when the Model 3 was released. The jump in quality in the responses has taken world by storm, and multiple other companies jumped to make their own version of it. OpenAI has also provided a playground on which paid users that are more technically oriented can work with their models to fine-tune their responses capabilities. On the other hand, Bing introduces to the mainstream the concept of working with an AI as a copilot for another app. In this case, a web browser. I switched it to Edge instead of Chrome due to this service, and I have found it to be really useful for small requests and inquiries. And last but not least, BART introduces the idea of an AI as part of Google's ecosystem of apps. BART introduces the idea of an AI as part of Google's ecosystem of apps, which have really big potential benefits down the road. Currently, it's a novel thing, but I haven't changed my usual flow for using Google's apps because of it. But I'm really interested in capabilities of consulting document data of my Drive account, so I can ask specific questions about PDFs instead of going through them and look for specific details. So I'm going to give ChatGPT 3 points because it's the biggest innovator and has more plugin options. Bing, I'm going to give it 2 points because the introduction of the concept of a copilot, which is something big that Microsoft is going to push with Windows 11. And I'm going to give Bard 2 points because the concept of the app ecosystem integration. So overall rating, ChatGPT has received 14 points for my part, Bing has received 11 points, and Bard has received 12 points. Using these categories, ChatGPT is the winner. But the alternatives are worth checking. Bing is free and can use Model 4, which is a paid model in ChatGPT, and Bard is also free and in many regards is really similar to ChatGPT. It also benefits with integration with other Google apps. I personally use all of them. Bing is my go-to for small inquiries, ChatGPT is my go-to for my developer workflow, and Bard is useful to work as part of the Google ecosystem. Conclusion. In the realm of LLMs, it's a really interesting topic. It has ethic questions around them because of the way the data was sourced and the way the people that are trained the AIs are being treated. But in general terms, the apps are really useful, and most of them are free or have free versions of them. And they're really useful to enhance workflows, to be more productive in a small task. As I said, all of them are great tools to have in your disposal. As a wrap-up for today's episode of Tech Wars, we hope you have enjoyed our exploration of technology frontiers. Join us for the next episode of Tech Wars as we delve into the practical world of automated testing. We'll be examining various testing frameworks to determine which one offers the most efficient and reliable testing solutions. If you have any insight, don't hesitate to comment below, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and insight. Don't forget to subscribe and share your feedback. Your participation helps us to continue to deliver exciting tech content. Thanks for being part of the Tech Wars community.